Hi, everybody, and welcome to another explosive segment of Mic Drop Monday with Dr. Elisa LaShell Harney. I am so excited about tonight's segment. We are really going to be dealing with some amazing things tonight. I want you guys to make sure that you start sharing. I want to make sure, listen, y'all go ahead and get your people on because it's going to be off the chain tonight. We are really going to be dealing with something. We're going to be dealing with the depression dilemma. And I want to make sure that all of you guys are there. All of you guys, listen, I have something that I always say. Tonight we're dealing with how to be okay when you're not okay. And I think one of the things that we've got to tell the truth about is we're not okay all of the time. Can we just be honest? We are not okay. And especially with so much going on, especially with the pressure sometimes to pretend, to hide, to act like everything's good, where do we find an opportunity to be truthful about where we are, to be honest about what we're feeling and what we're going through? I need everybody to do a big favor. Start sharing this. Listen, you may have some loved ones, you may have some friends, family members, people that you work with, people, just get them on tonight because I am going to be joined by my very, very, very dear friend, close, real life friend, not just Facebook friend, Dr. Tracy Knighton, who is a licensed professional counselor, and she is a life therapist. And we're going to come together and we're going to talk through some signs, some symptoms that let you know that something is wrong. We're going to talk about why depression is such a dilemma, why it's really hard for people to understand and to recognize when something is not quite right. We're going to talk about, I have this saying, and I'm going to put it on the screen because I want you to walk away with it. It's okay not to be okay, but it is not okay to stay that way. And so what happens for us, and I want everybody, you listen, type it into the comments. You need to type it. You need to screenshot it. You need to put it somewhere because I want you to say that to yourself. It's okay, regardless of what people have told you. It's okay not to be okay. Everybody is not walking around on sunshine, clouds or sunshine. It's not, listen, that's not realistic, but it is not okay to stay that way. And so welcome to Mic Drop Monday with Dr. Elisa LaShell Harney. I'm so excited to have you guys that are watching from YouTube and from Facebook. I'm excited. Thank you guys for joining. Keep sharing, tag your people, because I think tonight is going to be important, especially in this social climate, especially in what's going on. A lot of us have experienced loss. A lot of people are experiencing a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of frustration. Dealing with social distancing. For some people, connecting with people live and in person was all they had. And so there are some things that are going on in our emotions. There are some things that are going on for us mentally, spiritually, psychologically. We're going to get to the root of these things, and we're going to give you, y'all know, three things I'm going to give: some help, some hope, and some healing. So I want everybody, again, to hit that share button. Get your people on tonight. It is going to, for those of you guys that are watching the replay, hello and welcome. Thank you so much. Make sure that you are sharing. Listen, if you're watching for the first time, let us know. If this is your first time, let us know where you're watching from. I would love to know. I'm going to look at the comments a little bit later. But you guys, again, this is going to be probably one of the most important segments for this time. And I am just so honored to have my dear friend here with me tonight. So once again, welcome everybody. So excited. I am going to bring up my friend. And we say this all of the time. She's my friend in real life. And so, the chemistry we got going on and the stuff we got going on, it's the real deal. So I want you guys to welcome my very, very, very close friend, Dr. Tracy Knighton. Dr. Knighton, hello and welcome to Mic Drop Monday. Let's make sure we can hear you. Hold on. All right. Welcome to Mic Drop Monday. How are you?
I am great down here in South Georgia.
Listen, look at the power of social media. Gets us connected. Listen, so I am excited again to have you. I really, really feel like this is such an important topic for us to talk about. I really feel like this is something that's really big that we are dealing with. And I just want you, just real quick, tell everybody who you are. I know who you are, but for the people, talk to the people, tell them who you are, and so they can really get a grasp on what we're putting out there tonight.
So I am a licensed professional counselor in Georgia, and I have a private practice that's been in existence since 2014, and we see a little bit of everybody. Our youngest client is 10. Our oldest client just turned 79. So yeah,
Wow.
so we got a little bit of everybody here. We see young and old. We see couples. We see the whole gambit here. So that's what I do full time. I'm a therapist, and then I'm married to the greatest man on this side of heaven.
My brother. You married to my brother.
His name is Lawrence Knighton, and he's a pastor. So I wear that hat too, as well as a pastor's wife. So I got a little bit of everything going on down here in South Georgia.
Well, listen, we are absolutely, let me just speak for me. I am absolutely thrilled to have you. Again, everybody, keep sharing as you're thinking of people who may be going through something. We're dealing with how to be okay when you're not okay. And again, you're going to see this banner. There's help, there's hope, and there is healing. And so we're going to talk about tonight as we're dealing with the crisis we know that's going on. And even though
Right.
we know that that depression is something people deal with already, we know that now there are some things that are triggering us even now in this climate. And so tell me why you think it's so important for us, Dr. T, to have this conversation at this time.
Because, before when I first got into therapy many years ago, I actually started out as a school counselor. And when I first got into therapy, people would throw around the word depressed. I'm depressed. They would throw it around like everyday terminology. I'm in a depressed state, or I'm all in my feelings now, like the kids would say. I'm all in my emotions. I'm feeling some kind of way right now. But I think it's so important for us to understand what's normal depression
Yes.
and what is clinical depression, because
Yes.
there is a difference. And so what ends up happening is when people call me and they say, hey, I need an appointment because I'm depressed, I have to have them differentiate between clinical depression, where you have a clinical diagnosis, and now we're working with medication to bring up that biological imbalance that could cause depression. Or are you just in a state of depression where something
State.
has happened to you that
Mm-hmm.
has shifted your countenance, that has shifted the way you're viewing life right now? Because there is a huge difference. One of the things that I deal with clients who are clinically depressed, number one is you got to be on your meds. We got to have you in a balanced state biologically. And then I come in with the talk therapy to help you get over what I call humps in the road. Because when you think of therapy as speed bumps are not meant to make you stop. They're meant to make you slow down so that you can take pause and acknowledge things that are going on around
Hold
you.
on, Dr. T, you just threw up a mic drop. Listen, I need y'all in the comments to type that. Speed bumps aren't meant to make you stop. They're
No.
meant to make you slow down. Listen, we got to pause right there because that's a mic drop. And I think for a lot of people right now in this climate that we're on, people feel as though speed bumps are here to make us stop. They're here like a lot of us, we feel like, and I'm saying us, whether I feel like it or not, we know that this is the experience, that are feeling like, listen, we're supposed to stop. We're not supposed to our life is, no, it's slow down, because there is some recalibration there's some recognition, there's some
Right.
recalibration, and
Right.
that some things that we need to re-acknowledge. We've seen some things, but wait a minute, speed bumps aren't supposed to make us stop. And I think for a lot of people, I think people are thinking we're supposed to stop. Like everything, you coach, really you're talking to people and you're counseling them, and I'm coaching, and I just talk to so many people who think I'm like a deer in headlights. We just supposed to stop right now. Everything
Right.
stop. Life is right. And you're saying, no, slow down. And so I want to talk about a couple of things, reasons why people don't want to be associated even with the thought of something is wrong, or that there may be because we're dealing tonight more with the emotion of depression. I think a couple of things, if we just tell the truth. Number one, we don't want to be associated with anything known as a mental illness. And so I feel like there are a lot of people that really need some help, some hope, and some healing, but for some reason they're saying, I want people to think I'm crazy. I don't want people to think something. Talk about what that stigma is, because it's not people's fault, but why there is such a stigma about mental illness or mental health, even mental health awareness.
Oh my God. Have you even looked at how mental illness and our mental health history? I mean, our mental health is so deeply rooted and it has so many negative connotations simply based on how mental health got started in the first place. So having to remove that stigma of mental health and our history of it, that has been my challenge as a therapist ever since I started.
Mm.
Um, One of the things that I help people understand, and this is how I always start my sessions, is that if you view mental health like going to the doctor for your physical health, if your arm is broken, you go to the doctor because you want it set right so that you can have full use of it again.
Come on, ma'am.
If you
That's
go to the
good.
doctor because you have diabetes, you go to the doctor, they not only give you the medication to make you start feeling better, but they also give you a life plan because now you have to hit a reset button, like you said, a recalculation button that now says once we start taking this medication, our lifestyle has to change. And the same
Mm.
happens with high blood pressure. So then why do we think that if something is wrong with us mentally, that now is an issue? You go to the doctor to get your arm reset. You go to the doctor when you have high blood pressure. You go to the doctor when you have diabetes. Now I want you to think about going to therapy because now we want to get our minds right.
Oh, that's good. So that's the first thing, and I hope everybody hears that we don't want to be associated with anything known as mental illness, but we need to get our minds right. The second thing, Dr. T, that the reason why we don't want to be associated with depression or anything that feels out of the norm is we think we have to be okay all of the time. I mean, like, who told us that you got to walk around smiling every day's
Right.
got to be a sunny day? We think we have to be okay all the time. Where does that come from? Why are we walking around holding our emotions hostage? I have this thing where I'm always telling people in my coaching sessions, honor your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
honor them, because they come up for a reason. They come up to give you clues about what's really going on. I always say your body is speaking, but are you listening? And a lot of the times our bodies will whisper to us. They'll whisper a little headache. They'll whisper a flutter. They'll whisper something. We'll feel a little tick, and we're like, no, I'm not paying attention. And then they get louder, and all of a sudden migraine, all of a sudden palpitations. And we're just like, what just happened? Because we don't honor them. We don't say, oh, wait a minute. Let me see, what is this? What is this that is coming on me? Because for some reason, we think we're supposed to be okay all of the time. Talk a little bit about why we think that, why we have that in our minds, that we're supposed to be okay all of the time.
I think it's gotten its roots from the thought of this. Um, it shows a sign of weakness. But if
Mm.
I tell people your emotions are your superpowers, they are the first things that connect you to who you are and what's really going on. Because if you think things will show up, these little echoes show
Yes.
up throughout our lives, throughout our events that we go through on a day to day basis. And when these echoes show up, we take pause and we give note to them. Not acknowledging your emotions is you simply ignoring your superpower as a human.
Mhm.
And so one of the things when you and I talked about this earlier, when we used to do the My Relationship movement together,
Mhm.
one of the things that I always remember to embrace is this: if we didn't have our emotions, how would we connect with one another?
Mm.
If you didn't
Somebody
have
should
them.
type that in the comments. If we didn't have our emotions, how would we connect with one another? So in other words, are you saying then that when we disconnect from our emotions, that we're also putting barriers between us and the people that we actually probably want and need to connect with? Y'all, listen, y'all need to be, I see people that are tagging your folks. Put folks in here tonight because this is going to be good. So by us ignoring or not acknowledging our emotions and staying disconnected from them, are you saying that this is something that causes us to be disconnected from the people that we love or want to be close to?
And even trying to form those relationships. Your first
Wow.
definition of love is not with somebody else, it's with you. So, what you have within you is what you give to the world and give to others. So, if I don't know how to love me, if I don't know how to acknowledge me, if I don't know how to be patient with me, if I don't know how to engage with myself on an emotional level, how can then I turn around and do that with somebody else?
That's
Love
good.
starts here and then it goes outward.
That is good. So the third thing, because it leads me, and I see some people said it in the comments, the reason why we won't admit that some things that we're not okay is because we don't want to be judged. And some people were saying you have people, whether they're ministers or whether they're family or friends, co-workers, who speak out against that, who, don't y'all let people get in your business. And we know that what goes on in the house, craziest thing in the world stays in our house. And so then histories of mental illness and histories of alcoholism and histories of sexual abuse and histories of all of these things stayed in the house. And so we don't want to be judged. And we're in this place, or we find ourselves in this place where we're hiding our emotions. And there is something we understand called concealed depression. And we
Mhm.
understand how concealed depression works, that we go around for so long acting like everything's okay until we start saying things like, you know what, that's just how I feel. That's just a part of my personality. That's just how I am. Talk about the dangers of even concealed depression, of even the fear of not wanting to be judged, that allows us to really start put normalizing. And I have a saying that just because you normalized it doesn't make it normal. And we put these things that we just say, that's just how my dad is, that's just how my husband is, that's just how my wife is. And we don't say anything more than that, because again, fear of being judged. So talk about what happens when we hide it because we don't want to be judged, and how that starts to integrate itself into our regular personality.
Right. So I'm gonna steal your phrase that you always say: you can't fix what you won't face. So the first thing is that you've got to face that something is different. Different doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. It just means that it's different. So when we don't deal with our depression, when we don't deal with this constant state of feeling sad, which is what depression is, if it's not biological, it affects the way we think. It
Yep.
affects the way we feel, but thirdly, it affects the way we behave. So
Yes.
when you say you don't want to be judged, your behavior is being judged all the time. But
Yes.
what we're looking at now is not how people look at us, but rather how we see ourselves.
Yes.
So it really, and it goes back to the last point that I made, that it really doesn't have anything to do with this relationship, the outward relationship, but more of the inward relationship. Because if I'm happy within myself, then it doesn't matter how other people view me, because I'm okay with
I
me.
be-
But
I'm
when
okay.
there's a
Yes.
deficiency here, then what ends up happening is that I'm not able to set those healthy boundaries, because again, boundaries are healthy. Boundaries keep us safe, and it
So,
keeps other people safe as well.
hey, I need somebody to type that in. Boundaries are healthy. I can't tell you how much time I spend in mentorship talking about boundaries. So listen, I want y'all to type that. Boundaries are healthy. They keep us safe and they keep other people safe. I need to say this again for the people in the back. I need y'all to really hear this. Boundaries are healthy. They not only keep you safe, but they keep other people safe. We wonder why people, they say things like, y'all better watch her, she gonna go off, she gonna explode, or y'all better watch him, he gonna hit the roof, and we don't know what's gonna happen, because the Bible, and we've talked about this before, says that where there's no vision, people perish. Where there is lack of boundary, where you can't see
Mhm.
clearly how far you're able to go and how far you need to be going with somebody else, something gonna happen, something gonna go left. And so lack of boundaries. So boundaries are healthy, and they keep you safe, and they keep other people safe as well. That's a good point. But Dr. T, let's deal with, because I want to shift. I want to, because I think a lot of people don't really understand some of the signs and some of the symptoms of depression, or when something is not okay. And so I'm going to throw a couple of them out there, and I want you to go to kind of give us some insight about it, and then we're going to shift over, and we're really going to kind of get some into this is layer one, and then we're going to get into layer two. So layer one, when we talk about some signs and some symptoms that something is not okay, remember we said at the beginning, it's okay not to be okay. it's okay, but it is not okay to stay that way. And so let's talk about, and you said this before, when you're feeling sad and depressed in the mood, not just when something bad happens or something triggers like what might be going on now, but that sense about so just help people kind of monitor when it's because it's healthy to have emotions that match the magnitude of what's going on with us right now. But the difference between that and that overwhelming sense of sadness and just nothing is going to ever be okay again in my whole life. So just give us really some boundaries or some insight about that.
When we look at depression, we look at it, number one, as a clinical depression. Or when I said earlier, when we talk about clinical, we're also talking about having to have meds to balance a chemical imbalance in our body. Now, that looks like what you're talking about. That's that overall arching level of sadness, and it affects your everyday life. So when we think of chemical depression, we're talking people who are constantly in bed, who won't get out of bed, who won't eat, who won't bathe, who won't interact with others. And those are the things when we're looking at chemical depression, this also has to last for weeks on end, days on end. Okay. There's no precipitating event that caused it. Okay, so that's what we're talking about, chemical depression, the clinical depression. There's a chemical imbalance in the body that first needs to be dealt with. And then once we get the body organism back to a normal state, then we bring in to talk therapy to help with that state. And then you have the part of depression that's our everyday. Like right now, there may be people who are sitting at home who are in a depressed state. And that's we're looking at people who feel sad, who don't feel like engaging and participating with other people. And it's because of what's going on around them. And that's normal. That's normal depression. It is normal to feel depressed when you lose your job. It is normal to feel depressed when there's a shift in your atmosphere.
Yes.
You may be moving to a new city, or you may have lost a job, or you may have lost a loved one, or you may end up ending a relationship. These are normal changes, normal events that happen in everyday life that may cause a general sadness.
Right.
And once amount of time has transpired, that general sadness should dissipate.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So was there a time frame? Because that can look like a loss of energy, right? Or you're just increased fatigue, or it can look like having difficulty thinking or concentrating,
the
making
brain.
Right. Yes. Trouble sleeping, either going to sleep or staying asleep, a change in your appetite, and I'm not just talking about because some of y'all got the Corona snacks. I'm talking about this severe change because it's available. So, but no, I'm talking about weight loss or weight gain. You're eating because you're trying to get rid of a feeling, or you're not eating because that feeling has overwhelmed you. And one of them is that's really an important trigger. And I think that I kind of want you to talk about is that increase in purposelessness, purposeless physical activity, just kind of doing things to kind of pass the time, because we know, and I know somebody was saying normal time is past. We know that our emotions, all of us are built different. And so what might be normal for somebody is not the same for another person. But the process of our emotions, once we, process through something, we recognize it, we understand it, we release it. There are some things we will never get over, but being to a place where we're able to acknowledge it and move on, even with feeling that loss or even with feeling the separation. But just things that feel purposeless, that, doing random things that just don't make any sense. Just talk about like when the trigger comes for you to say, hey, wait a minute, and I wanted to throw out some things that when you're kind of feeling sad, this is because a lot of people don't know what it looks like, feeling worthless or feeling, even guilty. I'll be honest, there are some times where you can feel survivor's remorse, like you can feel, like everybody else, certain people are going through things and I'm not there to take care of them. I think a lot of people, if we just tell the truth, especially with what's going on, there are our loved ones or our family and our friends that are dealing with things. And then we're in locations where that's not happening right where you are, or you can't get to them and you can't really, want to be where they are. And so you just start feeling helpless and you start feeling, guilty, like, man, should I not, and thank you guys that are saying that this is right down y'all alley, because I just felt a sense of that. I felt just a shift there at where you just kind of feel as though, you're helpless to that situation. And then you almost feel guilty about moving on with your life. You almost feel guilty about, thanking God that I'm sad, but I'm grateful that I'm good and my family's good. I'm grieved, but do I stop doing what I'm called to do? Do I not, be happy like that? If we're just being honest, there's this thing where you don't. No, I don't want to be offensive to what's going on, but I also, do want to be honest about, I have the joy of the Lord, or I'm able to, you know what I mean? So just talk a little bit about, because I just sense that a lot of people, and based on the comments, it's going on, that a lot of people are really grappling with, how do you balance that? How is that okay? Some people, I think, just really need permission to know, is that okay to be okay with even the other side? Because we talk about the depression side, but what about the other side of that? Talk about that a little bit.
Sure it is. So first, let me just give you permission. It's okay. Let's just put it out there. It's okay. It really is. It is okay. Here's the thing. None of us know, and the Bible says it so beautifully. None of us know our season. None of us. We don't know how long we're going to be here. We don't know what the future holds for any of us. But this I do know: you have this moment in time. And what you are responsible for is what you're responsible for, which is you. And so what you have to end up doing, and what I end up telling my clients who are going through right now, because I do have some clients who've experienced loss, one way or the other. They've lost their job. They've lost loved ones. We've lost church members, family members, and unfortunately, they haven't been able to get to those family members. So one of the things that we have to remember is that the only thing that you're responsible for is you. That's hard for us, because we often feel this way, that we're supposed to give and give and give and be for everybody else. But until you take care of you, you can't do for other people. So I'm giving you permission right now that it's okay for you to be you. And the more you take care of you, the more you can take care of other people. And so when we look at what we're actually going through right now, what we don't have control over is the fact that we're all isolated. That we don't have control over. But what I tell people to do is literally put it on paper, because in most instances, we're all visual people. And so what I tell people to do is draw a circle and put those things in that circle that you are in control of.
I do that. Yes.
Yeah,
That's good.
I'm in control of my joy every day. I'm in control of how I react to other people. I'm in control of the relationships that I'm responsible for right now here in my house. Those are the things I can control right now. But then let's draw a circle that's bigger than that. And those are the things that I don't have control over. And when we begin to see the things that I do have control over, how then do I take responsibility for those things that I do have control over? How can I engage those things that I do have control over? Yes. So for parents, I actually spoke with a lady the other day, and she was saying that, it's so hard for me not to be depressed, because she was saying her mom was out of town and her kids were at home with her, and she was getting so depressed because she couldn't get to her mom. I said, here's the thing. What you're not responsible for is your mom. And that sounds very harsh, because this woman gave life to you. But when you don't take responsibility for the things that you are responsible for, which are the kids that are in your home right now, what ends up happening to those kids? How then do they view their relationship with you? So then you've got to show, kids are watching. People are watching you.
Yes.
People are watching and taking note of how you engage in life. Yes. So when you say that, I'm a parent or I'm a sister or I'm a brother, what we do have control over, those are the things that you focus on, not the
Yes.
things that you cannot control. And so when you realize and you bring it back in, because remember the smaller circle is the thing that you do have control over. When you look at those things that you do have control over, that's what's empowering. That's what gives you back your power. Because part of why we feel depressed is because we feel like we don't have power over everything that's going on
Listen,
around us.
there you go. Somebody just asked, how do I take responsibilities of the things I do have control over? Listen, I'm going to help you with that one. You know, first of all, the first part about it is like Tracy said, and I always say, facing it, be
Hmm.
saying it, making sure that you understand that this, I have to take ownership. It belongs to me. First of all, shifting away your mindset to say there is something that I can do. One of the things that we've done for a long time is turned around and been like, you know what, there's nothing I can do about it. You know what, I just don't know if it's anything that I can do. But when we're talking about the things I can do something about, like you were saying, I'm always talking about, let's deal with the reality of it. What can I do about it? Here is, and it's another way to say what you just said. Something I cannot do anything about: what other people say about me, what other people
Right,
think about me,
right.
what other people want from me. What I can do everything about is what I allow them to have, how I allow what they think to bother me or to get inside of me, my actions to be determined by somebody else's response. I have control over that. I can hear things can come in my ear all day long. But guess what? I have the responsibility and the authority to do is to say, nah, that's it for that. No, I'm responsible for answering my phone. I'm responsible for hanging it up when that's the end of that I'm done with that. I have the responsibility and the authority to disconnect when these connections are detrimental, when I
Hmm.
understand that they're damaging. I have the authority to arrest my atmosphere. What's in my atmosphere? Is what's in my atmosphere? Is it damaging? Is it draining? What is it? Because I can arrest that. Even the Bible says that. Guess what we can do? We can cast down
Cast
imaginations
down.
and every high
Hmm.
thing that's trying to exalt itself against the knowledge of Christ. And so if the Bible tells us that the peace of the Lord is what's guiding us and guarding us, and I notice that there are some foreign objects, let me tell you something. There are some people, you got to understand, there's a virus sometimes trying to go viral in your house, and it's not the coronavirus. And I think we need to understand that what happens is things hitchhike on us and then they get inside of us. I need to say that again for the people in the back. They'll hitchhike on us and then they'll think about it, because while we're talking about the virus, look at what's happening in the spirit realm. When it comes to the way that things move, this virus is teaching us a very important lesson.
Hmm.
People look like on the outside that they are not infected, but they've been
On
around
the
some tainted
inside.
atmosphere on the inside. And because you don't necessarily see some noticeable things, because you in and out of relationships, because you're so busy wanting to be liked, I feel a shift, because you want to be attached to somebody, because you need to be needed and you want to be wanted and you desire to be desired, you don't even understand that there's something lurking beneath, but you don't see any visible signs. Can I tell you what the trick is? Give it some time. Watch how they move. Watch and
Hmm.
make sure every now and again you're going to notice a little bit later. Guess what? Somebody sweating. You're going to notice somebody coughing. They clearing their throat all the time. You're going to
Hmm.
notice that something shifted because you waited a while. And so what happens is a foreign object comes and it lurks under somebody and it's undetected. And if we don't dust off our discernment, if we don't get into a place where we're able to use our spiritual eyes, awaken our awareness. Somebody type that into the comments. It's time to awaken your awareness. You got to awaken your awareness and you got to start asking yourself, wait a minute, something changed. My atmosphere was different when a certain person got around me. When I was in a certain atmosphere, I noticed all of a sudden I started picking up on stuff that wasn't on me. I started thinking some stuff I didn't used to think. I started feeling something that I didn't used to feel. What just happened? Well, can I just tell you something trying to hijack you? And we got to understand, even in the natural, that when it comes to depression, we understand even certain things are spiritual. We need to understand that the Bible says that we are not wrestling against flesh and blood, but of powers, principalities, rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness. Watch this, in high places. high places, the atmosphere, high places,
Right.
the air, high places, things that are above us. And so we need to understand that this is why we have to be careful. We have to be mindful that when we start sensing a shift in our atmosphere, thank y'all for typing it in, awaken your awareness. Listen, arise, O Zion, and put on thy strength. Because what happens is the glory of the Lord is hidden within you, but what happens is it can get sabotaged by the stuff that's on the outside. So talk about Dr. T, and I know we shifting a little bit because I feel that shift about our awareness, even in the natural, when they're talking about the coronavirus. They're saying, listen, there are some signs and some symptoms. There are some things you need to be aware of. There are some things that you need to take notice. There's a certain level of social distance, even when you're around other people, that you need to keep, because you're opening your immune system. You're opening your emotions. You're opening your spirit to catch something that somebody might not be quite healed. Somebody might be carrying something from, listen, let me just say this, generational curses. Somebody might just be carrying something, the spirit of poverty. Somebody might just be carrying something, the spirit of lust, the spirit of lack. And if you so open and you're disregarding your 6 feet and you letting folks get all up on you in the natural, emotionally, mentally, don't think people can get up on you with social separation. I don't know where that came from. Somebody better type it in the comments. I'm on the floor. Don't think people can get up on you even with social separation. That's for somebody. So Dr. T, talk about emotionally how we can connect but stay disconnected. How we have to be able to have social distance, spiritual distance, but still connect, but keep a part of us that's vulnerable, keep a part of us that needs to be guarded because it affects what's on the inside of us.
Listen, we said it earlier. We talked about that, and we talked about how depression affects how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. So when we look at who we are, and I just did this earlier, sometimes you've got to disconnect from social media, because everything that you bring in, everything that you see, everything that you hear, everything that you watch, everything that you scroll through affects how you think, how you feel, and eventually how you behave. Everything starts with a thought. If a thought is positive, the behavior is going to be positive. If a thought is
Yes.
negative, the behavior is going to be negative. But it first has to be implanted in you, and that's through your thought. Remember our senses. Remember, we see, we feel, we touch, we taste, we hear. And so when you're constantly bringing in negativity, and I'm not trying to dismiss the coronavirus, I'm not trying to dismiss the outcome or anything that anybody's experienced with it, but when was the last time, if you've been quarantined for 14 days, when was the last time you laughed?
Come on, ma'am.
When was the last time you brought in your own joy? Everything, no matter what channel you turn to, it's about the coronavirus and everything negative that's attached to it. Now, I'm not saying put yourself in a bubble. I'm not saying dismiss what the world is going through. But at the same time, if you keep eating hot sauce, what eventually happens? It turns you into a negative person. The result of it, the behavior of it. Remember, I'm talking thoughts. So if you think of your thoughts as hot sauce, what happens is it's going to burn your tongue. It's going to make you choke and cough. It's going to make you start spitting up, because the heat and the toxicity of the hot sauce is going to damage your stomach and your throat lining and all of that. So what ends up happening is you end up regurgitating everything back up. So everything that you intake, everything you consume comes back out of you. So if you're constantly consuming negative things,
Yes.
what's going to end up happening is you're going to be that toxic person that we're talking about.
Come on. And so, you know what? It's so funny that you said the 5 senses. For those of you guys that watched last Monday when we did Mic Drop Monday,
Right.
I was talking about this very thing. I was talking about acute awareness. And one of the things, and it's so funny because when we're dealing with how to be okay when you're not okay, it's recognizing what's gotten in. And so somebody
Mhm.
needs to ask yourself a question: what did I let in? And so, yeah, somebody type that in the comments. What did I let in? Because there is a door, there is a gateway. There's only so far that people can go until you open the door. There's only so much that can get inside until you open the door. And so what happens is we open the door to things. We open the door to people. And I was talking about at the end of last Monday's mic drop, I said what happens is we don't understand that when people come in and now, even in our natural homes, we open the door, we let people in, right? Well, before the social distancing. And when they left, guess what? They left something, right? They left something. It might have been a scent. It might have been, an article of clothing. It might have been dust. They left some residue. And so I asked everybody last Monday night, I said, listen, you were talking about when was the last time? And I was talking about when it comes to your senses in the natural, if you wear glasses or contacts, you have to ask yourself, when's the last time I cleaned my glasses? When's the last time I cleaned my contact? Because some residue got on them. And then we wondering, we think we're seeing correctly, but we're seeing through a filter of filth. Man, who did I just help right then? We think we're seeing correctly, but we're seeing through a filter of filth. And so we think, they look okay. That's because your glasses ain't been cleaned, boo. That's because you ain't purged them contacts. And then you put them on and you say, oh, Lord, that the eyes of my understanding be enlightened. You see things different because residue. And I was saying, in our ears, letting people just say anything. And that's what Dr. T, that's what she was just saying to y'all. She was saying you're listening to everything. And it's not in being ignorant or just saying, I don't want to know anything. But one of the things for me, as you said earlier about boundaries, is I know for me having a selective sensitivity, I have to say, hey, guess what? I can't watch the news consistently. It can't be on. One of the things that I say, and I'm going to say this, I don't know who I'm helping, but some of you all that there's probably about 12 of you all that have been having a hard time sleeping. And I heard the Spirit of the Lord say it's because you have on the news or you have on a certain channel through the night when you're in your sleep. Listen, here is what's happening. You need to turn it off. Ask God to silence your subconsciousness, because what is happening is beneath your exterior in the day, when you are awake, you're able to control your consciousness. But when you're asleep, the gates come down. And what happens is when your guards are down and you have something circulating in the atmosphere, it's leaving words, it's leaving clues, it's leaving residue. And then you wonder why you wake up and you're discombobulated. You wake up and you're overwhelmed. Who am I helping tonight? You wake up or you can't stay asleep. Hear me. You better arrest your atmosphere, turn some stuff off, ask God to silence your subconsciousness so that you can get some sleep, so that your spirit is not bothered. So Dr. T, talk about how we don't realize how we're opening ourselves up to what's going on in this atmosphere.
Listen, we talked about that speed bump, and one of the things that I want to challenge people to do in this time is to be active. And so you talked briefly about that in arresting our atmosphere, but there still are things that we are in control over. And one of the main things that we're in control over is the atmosphere in which we're a part of. So my husband read earlier with the coronavirus that is in the atmosphere. That it's viral, that it's outside. And so one of the things they're recommending is for people to take a shower when they come in from going to different places.
Come on.
So here's what you got to do. I tell people this all the time when I'm working with clients, and the body knows, the body's used to getting up in the morning and going to work and being active. But how does your body shift to the nighttime routine? And one of the things that you have to do physically is let the body know when it's time to rest.
Hold on. Whoa. Did y'all hear that mic drop? Let your body know when it's time to rest. I need somebody to type that in the comments. Let your body, you let your body know when it's time to rest. Not your little poor body falling apart and you can't even, you stumbling around like you're drunk, can't keep it. No. You let your body know. This is about arresting your atmosphere and taking authority when it's time to rest. That was good. I couldn't let you, I had to get that mic up in. Go ahead, Dr. C.
So like you do in the morning when you're getting ready to go to work, the alarm goes off, you go take your shower, and your body knows that morning routine. But how does the body know when it's time to go to bed, when it's time to rest? So one of the things that I challenge my clients to do is to come up with this night routine. And even though we're not getting up and going to work in the morning, how does your body still know it's time to go to bed at night?
That's good.
So you still got to shift it. And like you talked about, turn that TV off. But listen, one of the things I want to challenge people to do, I hear y'all saying, well, I ain't going nowhere today. Why I got to take a shower? Here's why you got to take a shower. You got to get the residue of the day off.
Residue.
Part of what the shower does And some people take baths. That's their relaxation time. More power to you if you're a bath person, but I'm a shower person. One of the things, and my husband will tell you, I love a good long, hot shower because that's my way of letting my body know you shift from the day to the night. I'm letting go of the residue of the day, the thoughts of the day, the toxicity of the day. And now I'm getting ready not only to get my body physically ready for
Come
rest,
on.
but mentally and spiritually and emotionally. We're shifting from the day to
Come
the
on.
night. And so part of why some of you who are out there who says, I'm up all through the night, my thoughts are constantly racing, is because you haven't taught your body how to shift from day to night.
Woo! Wait, hold on, Dr. T. Y'all, are y'all typing this and sharing? Because this woman, she said, you have not taught. Let me just take the first part. You have not taught your body how to shift. Can somebody type into the comments, teach your body how to shift? Listen, Dr. T be dropping gems and she don't even know it. Type that in the comments. Teach your body how to shift. There is a daytime you and a nighttime you. There is a pre-residue you and a post-residue you. Teach your body how to shift. Teacher, she just said you go through a routine through the day. I just told y'all earlier, you don't know, you picking up particles, you picking up stuff people saying, you picking up things people are that you're looking at, you're picking up emotions of other people, stuff you're watching, and you're feeling some kind of way, and you're going to bed and you didn't wash, you're going to bed and you didn't cleanse, you're going to bed and you didn't detox, you're going to bed and you didn't Febreze. Thank y'all for typing it. Teach your body how to shift. And so Dr. T just said, and so you put yourself into a routine from the day to the night. Now go ahead, Dr. T, because you listen, you teaching, you helping the people. This help, hope, and healing tonight. Come on with this.
And so what ends up happening is the body's still dealing with all of the stuff from the day. It doesn't know that you're trying to shift to the night. So just as you have this morning routine to get ready, just as you have this work routine, now we need to have an evening routine. So my body, I've been doing this for 50 years. My body understands around 8, 9 o'clock. It's time to take the contacts out.
Listen,
it's time to
I don't care if the lights on, you be talking, laughing, food. You just start. I say, oh Lord, y'all, she out, y'all.
Because it's time to shift.
The shift at 8 o'clock.
Listen. I don't care where I am. My body understands it. Even when we go visit other countries, I have to retrain my body, and so the body knows. Here, listen. People think when you sleep that the body is not engaged in that work. Believe it or not, the body's more engaged when you sleep than when you're awake during the day.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
It's your sleeping time that the body does the most work, that the mind is more, your mind is actually more active when you're asleep than when you're awake. So the things that you're trying to ponder, the things that you're trying to engage, the things you're trying to remember, your memories happen at night. And so when you don't get the restful sleep you need, the residue from the previous day shows up the next morning.
Hold on. Did y'all just hear this mic drop? The woman of God just said, when you don't get the rest that you need, the previous residue shows up again. Can I just tell somebody that's watching tonight, listen, whoever is watching, when you don't get rest, when you don't take the time to shut down, the previous stuff, it comes along with you. You wake up and now you're carrying. Why do you think the Bible talks about let us lay aside the weight? He talks about you lay aside the weight, because if you don't, you wonder why you so burdened and why the Bible talks about casting your cares on him. But we wonder why we're so heavy, and we wonder why we're so overwhelmed, and we wonder why we're so burdened down, because we didn't rest. And we need to understand that rest is not just sleep. Listen, can I just say, I said this before and I'm gonna say it, and it's a mic drop and you can type it in the comments. Rest in peace is not just for the dead. I'm gonna just listen. I'm gonna drop my own mic. Rest in peace is not just for the dead. You need to say to yourself, I need to rest in peace. Who am I talking to? I need to rest in peace. The Bible always is talking about finding rest in the Lord, resting in the Lord, waiting patiently. He didn't say go to sleep. I rested in the Lord. That means I was able to subdue my subconsciousness. I was able to calm my fears. I was able to pacify those things that were trying to overtake me. RIP is not just for the dead. We need to learn how to rest in peace. We need to know that it's the peace of the Lord that surpasses all understanding. And that's what not only guides our heart and mind, but it guards our heart and mind. And so listen, can I just tell y'all tonight, you got to rest in peace. I don't know who that's for, but you got to rest in peace. And so, Dr. T, because this is so good, y'all, that I want to I have some, and we're going to throw some things out there tonight, because here is some indications, y'all, that some things have went left, that some things are not going correctly. I'm calling them pink flags. Man, listen, I'm going to call them pink flags. And this means not necessarily that something has, but listen, because one of the things about Help, Hope, and Healing is it's about awareness. And one of the reasons why we're here together tonight is because we want to make sure before that flag turns red, before it turns crimson, we want to make sure you can understand.
Or before it becomes a flag on fire.
Ooh, did y'all hear that? Or because before it becomes a flag on fire. Man, Dr. T, see, we get together and this thing be crazy. So let's deal with these pink flags, y'all. If you are in pain, and this is recurring and constant. This is researchers say that when you are, watch this, in a negative state of mind, you're more apt, your body is more apt to tune in to everything else that's negative. It starts picking up on everything else that's negative. And so how do you know when you're not okay? If all of a sudden just everything hurt, everything is in pain. What is that? Because when you're in, hear me, researchers show that when you're in a negative state of mind, Dr. Tegan, you can adjust. All of a sudden, you notice everything. So once something start hurting, and then you just like, and my head, and the back of my leg, and my back, right? Why is that? Why is it that our body, when we're negative here, all of a sudden picks up on everything else that's wrong there?
Remember, I gave you the order earlier. Think, feel, behave. It's always that order.
Type that in the comments, y'all. Say that again, Dr. T.
It's the way you think affects the way you feel, which affects the way you behave.
Think, feel, behave, y'all.
Brings up the feelings that are attached to it. And those feelings affect the way you behave. So negative thoughts always result in negative behavior.
Y'all hear it? Okay.
So until you deal with the pain, be it physically or mentally, it's always going to show up the same way. You can't have a positive thought and behave in a negative way.
Woo! Y'all heard that?
You can't have a negative thought and expect to have a positive behavior. That's not how it works.
So here we go, y'all. Secondly, you have a short fuse. Now listen, I'm trying to show y'all how to tell when you're not okay. This might go over a little. We just got to make sure y'all got this. You have a short fuse. And let's just say this, Dr. T, because we just going to tell the truth. A lot of people at the house together ain't been in the house together in a minute. And some of the people, I am the people, we get around, and some of you all that have your children around that's not been around for a minute, your husband around, and he's not been around for a minute, that wife at the house now, she hadn't been around for a minute. Fuses. You have to be mindful. I was looking at when our brain associates with whatever is more dominant. So whatever the dominant thought or emotion is, it opens the door to its cousins, right? So I need y'all to hear this. So what happens is, if you are happy or if you are excited, you'll notice all of a sudden things become more funny to you. Like you'll notice you'll giggle more, or things are the associated emotions start coming in, right? But when you are angry, now it opens the door. Anger opens the door to irritation. Irritation, now you're aggravated. Now you just disgusted, because one door opens the door to its cousin's door, right? Talk about that with the fuse, how that's an indication. Hey, that's a pink flag. You're not okay.
And what's the root cause of it? So if I'm
Mm.
angry, see, I always tell people this: anger is not a primary emotion; it's a secondary emotion. So if you think of anger as an iceberg, anger is what you see at the top of the iceberg. But you've got all of these other emotions that are underneath the iceberg. That really, that's the part that caused the Titanic to sink.
Come on, ma'am.
So when we're looking at the top of the iceberg, all we see is anger. But underneath the iceberg, we got depression, we have guilt, we have shame, we have fear, we have distrust, we have all of these underlying emotions. So when we talk about that short fuse opening the door to all those cousins, what's causing the short fuse?
Woo.
Because the short
Come
fuse is
on.
actually what you see at the top. It's like anger. What's really going on underneath? Am I upset with you because you didn't meet my expectations? Am I disappointed in you? Are my feelings hurt because you spoke to me yesterday in such a bad way, and now the residue from yesterday because I didn't take a shower to end
Come on.
the night routine. So now that residue from yesterday when you spoke to me some kind of way is now folding over into the next day. Okay, we got to get to the root cause. What's actually causing that short fuse?
That's good. So let's go to the next one. Dr. T, we off the chain tonight. You feel nothing, right?
Ooh,
You're in this place where blah, just neutral, zombie, just it's whatever it is. Oh well, they can do it is or it is. You know how we do. Oh, whatever, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Listen, when you get that's a pink flag, people, because when you get to the place where you don't feel nothing, when you don't care if it is or if it's
numb.
not, come on, Dr. T,
When you're numb. When you're not, that is not a good place to be when you're numb. Because now part of what happens when you end up being numb is you don't want to take responsibility for what you're feeling. So now you throw it off on the
Wait,
other person.
whoa. Did y'all listen? Did y'all hear what the woman of God said? When you are numb, it's because, and you have to be careful, that's a bad place, because that means you don't want to take responsibility of what you're really feeling. So, Dr. T, what you're really saying is, I am saying I'm numb, but the truth is, for me to be numb must mean there's something that's being sensed up under there. I got to be numb from something. So something
Right.
really is going on.
Right. Because when you think about it, when you go to the dentist and they get ready to take that tooth out, they numb you before they take the tooth out. Why am I numbing you? Because you're in pain
Because
of the
you're in
tooth.
pain.
Right. So I'm going to numb you to be able to deal with the problem at hand, which is the tooth that needs to come out. It's the same way with your emotions. I'm numb, but I don't want to deal with what's really going on.
Come on. Well, let's keep going, Dr. T. See, everybody gonna talk about this one, but increase drinking. Now, listen, and we doing this because there are a lot of people trapped in the house, and we need to have this conversation about pink flags, and you ain't talking about, listen, nearly 1/3 of people with depression also have an alcohol problem.
Right.
This is statistically, researchers say that you don't have to be an alcoholic to abuse alcohol. One drink may take the edge off, but a second or third one amplifies negative emotions like anger and aggression and anxiety. And so we have to understand that sometimes, especially in situations like this, it's a pink flag when you're just, all right, I just got to not want, I'm feeling edgy. All right, well, I'm feeling anxious. Well, I'm feeling angry. Listen, this is what you're doing. You're fueling, you're literally fueling it.
And it goes back to the previous one that you talked about, is numbing. Alcohol drops down our inhibitors. So now I can speak freely for what I'm really feeling, but I can't do it otherwise. So
Ooh,
now
that's good.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Say that again, Dr. T. Wait, hold on. You said, because this goes back to emotional. So I've been acting like I don't care no kind of way, but then I start drinking because that's a pink flag, and it gives me an excuse to say what I really want to say because I wouldn't have said it any other circumstances. My God, you better talk to us, ma'am.
That's it. So now I've increased my drinking because number one, I want to numb how I feel, and that helps me to numb it even more. But it also frees me up because what ends up happening is once the alcohol is in me, I'm inhibited. I say what comes out. So I can always wake up the next morning and be like,
I don't remember what I said.
Blame it on the alcohol.
Blame it on the alcohol. I was drink. Y'all know I didn't mean what y'all better listen. These are gems. Let me check these comments. These gems that we are putting out here tonight. Here's another. You already addressed this one. Being glued to social media, and that is that is not about, and listen, don't get fooled about, since we social distance. And listen, I just today had an opportunity. I think I might have been able to come on social media like twice, because I'm recording and I'm preparing and I'm writing curriculums for mentorship, and I'm developing. I always say to people, you got to have a life outside of the live, right? I need y'all to hear this. And so there has to be life going on outside of your post, outside of, the scrolling, outside of that. There has to be life going on behind that, because that's a pink flag when you can't even, I'm just obsessed. Even if the social media is well, I ain't watching TV, but I'm glued to CNN app, just glued, just waiting for the next thing. I'm staying glued because I don't know what they're going to announce next. I'm staying glued because we got to be watchful. And do what? Because we're still in the house. And do what? Because, a lot of people are on limitations. And so being glued to it, not even allowing yourself the possibility. I've been doing a lot of trainings, and I'm going to be releasing more master classes. You were in on my last master class, where I've been teaching people during this time. This is a time to prepare. This is a time to pivot. This is a time to look at, there are some things that I can be doing now while I'm in this time, but glued to social media, that's pink flag.
Listen, social media is good and it's bad. It's bad in the sense that it only shows people highlights. It never shows what's really going on. So we're constantly comparing ourselves to other folks' highlights. The second thing it does is that it's constantly giving you flashes of images of people's lives. We're not meant, realistically, the brain is not meant to have all of these images come to it consistently as much as it does. The studies have shown that a person can get as many as 70,000 images per day.
Jesus.
If you look back in 1960, people didn't get 70,000 images before their face in a year. So you get more images now in a day than what people in 1960 got in a year.
Jesus.
So how does the mind then process all of that?
That's good.
Right.
Yeah, which leads me to the next thing, that your head is in the clouds and you're daydreaming and you're not able to, there is this false sense of reality, or a false sense. And you can just say, that disconnecting, like it's happening around me, but this is not really. I'll just sit around and not do anything, but just kind of daydream about what could be. And why is that dangerous in an increased sense of just having your head in the clouds and just daydreaming?
Right. Remember, I said, even though this is a time where we're sheltered in, we should still be active. So how are you keeping yourself active? When your head is in the clouds, the body's not moving. And so even today, and I'll share this with my daughter, I told her, I said, you got to come out the room and you got to go get some fresh air. And she did. She came out of the room. She realized that she was on social media so much, and she just had to go get that fresh air. Life is still going on.
Even
though we're sheltered in, life is still moving forward. There will be a point where we're no longer sheltered in. How will you account for this active rest?
That's
this is how I look at it. This is active rest. We have had to shelter in, and even though we're sheltered in, this should be active rest for us.
Active rest. Somebody type that in. Active rest. That's good. Which leads me to the last thing, a pink flag, is when your grooming decreases. One of the things that I've been telling, listen, I was telling some of my mentees this time, I said, listen, you still wake up. Put your clothes on, like you were saying, have a routine for yourself so that you can feel some kind of way. Even if you get dressed, just take a selfie. Listen, one of the things, especially for you influencers, get up, get dressed. This is the time to be producing content. This is the time to be doing some things, recording YouTube videos. My daughter and I think we can ready to do, I don't even know what a TikTok is, but we supposed to be dressing up and then changing dresses and then changing outfits. I don't even know, but I'm here for the foolishness. You hear me? It is something, because you want to stay actively aware of what's going on. You want to get to a place where you're saying, I need to, my mindset needs to not feel like, child, because if I look in the mirror, you know what it is. I'll never forget. My auntie told me something years ago, and I hold it dear to my heart. She said, the time that you feel the worst is the time you get the cutest. And then she ended it with, because if you cute and you don't feel good, at least people gonna compliment you all day, and you'll feel better as the day goes by. And she was early on, and I remember doing it, and I would be like, I feel so awful, but this is the one day I'm gonna dress up, and people will be like, oh, you look so cute today, and I'm like, but before I knew it, I was feeling better. Before I knew it, it was like, you know what, let me put my clothes on. So it's easy to get in a place where, ain't nobody looking at me, nobody care, and that grooming just start decreasing. You just start throwing yourself away. Listen, pull that back in, people of God. Pull that back. Don't be walking around this house, the house crusty, musty, ashy. I hope I'm helping somebody. Y'all get on up. Get the routine going. Put your clothes on. Whatever you want to do. Take a cute family picture. I get my kids and my family down here in the room. Y'all, we taking a picture while we all here. We gonna take these pictures. Put your clothes on. Get your mindset in a place where you're still showing up, where you're still feeling like something, so that your mind doesn't get into this sense of just ambiguity. It's just very important that we shift ourselves mentally. And we know, and that what we see, how we feel, all of it coincides with each other.
Exactly. Thinking, feeling, and behaving.
Thinking, feeling,
go in that order.
All right. So listen, these are our last. We're going to tell you, how do you cope? And so we want to end it here and give you guys these things that I believe is really going to help you guys. Number one, stay in touch, right?
With the right people.
With the right. I was going to say, hold on. With the right people. Stay in touch. And in touch is not just social media. It's calling. It's texting. It's sending an email. Tracy is an email. Listen, Tracy is the most emailing. I'll text but you're going to get this email. And so stay in touch. Secondly, face your fears. Instead of letting it hang over your head or haunt you. Dr. T said it earlier, get in front of it. Third, change your diet, natural, physically, mentally. Like she was saying, I told my daughter, get out the room. That's a diet change. Get a different level of atmosphere. We've been telling y'all, get a routine, stop winging it and create some purpose. Those of you guys that have been procrastinating about what you're supposed to do, and I don't know, this is your time. And I'm going to let Dr. T do the last one. But express yourself, talk, write, sing, dance, draw, whatever it is to have an outlet for what you're doing. I just told you, boost your self-image, get up and get dressed. And this last one, because I want to end it with Dr. T giving you information about her organization. Don't be afraid to ask, seek, or get help. The Bible says that you have not because you ask not. And so Dr. T has an amazing company called Nova Counseling and Consulting Services. And I want you guys to know, and I'm not saying this just because she's my friend. I'm saying this because I have watched her do wonders. I have seen her. If you talk to her, you'll hear what she's able to do. We talked about not allowing ourselves to get stuck in a stigma, but there are some things that we need more than just somebody to tell us, baby, pray about it, you'll be all right, or just tell us it'll be over after a while, or somebody just to pat us on the back and say, well, just take some Tylenol and call me in the morning. No, there were some things that we need more. And so Dr. T, tell us a little bit about Nova Counseling and Consulting, and a little about the range of services that you provide, and how we can get in touch with you if we need some help, some hope, and some healing.
So Nova Counseling and Consulting Services, Nova stands for No One Ventures Alone. And so that's actually the icon, or the logo that we have is a road, because in this road of life, you are not by yourself. So I walk beside you, I walk in front of you, I walk behind you, because sometimes I got to push you. Sometimes I got to pull you, and sometimes I'm just going to walk side by side and be your cheerleader. There are times when I'm really, really nice to my clients, and I'm cheering them on, and we can do this together. And then there's some times where, I got to put on the boots in and come in and just kind of, crack some things up and till the ground, because there are some things that we have to change. And so one of the things I like to do is work with people who are ready to transition.
Woo!
When you
Wait a
recognize
minute. You work with people who are what now, ma'am?
who are ready to
Who
transition.
are ready to transition.
Yes, and that's a challenge sometimes, because sometimes people will come to me and they're ready to transition one way, but then once I get in there and I really start doing the work with them, I recognize there's some things that we've got to heal before we transition. See, it's hard to transition when you're not healed. So first we have to deal with what needs to be healed, and then we get ready for the transition. Because what you don't want to do is transition with a Band-Aid.
Woo! My God.
With an open wound. And now you're bleeding and you're trying to figure out, why am I still bleeding from all of this other things that I didn't deal with? And that's because we didn't deal with the healing that we've got to do first. So I love working with people who are ready to do the work, who are willing to come in and just be themselves. Who you see today, that's how I am in my sessions. I don't use a lot of jargon. I mean, I can be Dr. Knighton on you, but then for the most part, I love being Dr. T. I love being in the trenches with people, and I love helping them. The way they can get in touch with me is we're on Facebook. We also have a website, and it's www.novacc.net. And those are the ways that they can get in. They can message me. They can hit me up on Facebook. And again, we have a website, and it's novacc.net.
All right, guys, I just put it in the comments, novacc.net, so you guys can see it. Listen, this is my friend. I hope that tonight was a night for you guys of help, of hope, of healing. If you came on to watch, make sure that you go back and share it. Watch, if you didn't watch the whole thing, go back and watch it. If you know somebody who is dealing with depression or just not feeling okay, you hear signs of, something's going on, especially now, it's so many things that are out there to watch, but this is something that actually is going to give them help, hope, and healing. So again, so grateful that you guys came to be a part of Mic Drop Monday. Stay connected. Got some amazing things coming up. And, we always say that you can't fix what you won't face. So again, I am Dr. Elisa LaShell Harney, the Empowerment Specialist. This was my friend, Dr. Tracy Knighton. And so from us to y'all, listen, stay safe and stay connected. We'll see y'all next time.